Hey guys, we're Seth and Annika, and welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please don't forget to press subscribe button there and press the bell button beside it so you get notified when we post a new video.
So today it's Thursday and we're back with another True Crime Thursday. So enough about the boys. Let's get on with the girls. So today we're going to be talking about Jennifer Pan. So thank you to Jazz for commenting and suggesting the story. Thank you. Thank you.
Naomi says, thank you. We just like to remind you that this is a true crime channel and we'll be talking about murders and the facts of the case. We might also show some pictures that might be too disturbing for you, so viewer discretion is advised. So let's get into our video. So on November 8th of 2010, 3 armed men broke into a house with the intention to rob, and the police believed it was the luxurious cars in the garage that made this house a target. So when they got in, 2 of the 3 men went to the parents and forced them to go to the basement. They covered their heads with a blanket and threatened them. And one of the guys went up to the bedroom of the daughter, got her, and tied her arms behind her back. He demanded for money, so the daughter went and got her savings, gave the guy $2,500, and went to the nightstand of her mom and got $1,100 to give to the man. So after giving the money to the guy, she was tied to the banister around the arm here, and then she heard 5 popping sounds. And then she decided to call 911 and described that she was in danger and that she heard these sounds.
What's your name?
My name is Jennifer.
So it just broke in?
Someone broke in and I heard shots like pops. I don't know what's happening. I'm tied upstairs.
Did it sound like gunshots?
I don't know what gunshot sounds like. I just heard a pop.
So those popping sounds were gunshots directed to her parents, and that led to the death of her mom and the injury of her dad. So the police called Jennifer in the station as a witness and a victim. They questioned her so they get to know what really happened in the house. But they felt that there was something off with her story, like some parts didn't match or some parts seemed impossible. So one of the things that the police pointed out was it was hard or impossible for Jennifer to call 911 given her position, like she was bound at the back, like her arms were bound at her back and she was tied to the banister. So they called her in again to demonstrate like how she called, and so this is how it went.
Stand up and turn around. Put this in the side that you believe it was in. Great. Turn around so that you're looking away from me. You're looking exactly like, now here is where the banister is. Put your hands back behind your back, exactly how you remember they were. Okay? Now, are you restrained from movement? How far can you move your hands from the banister?
They tied my upper arm.
Yes?
Around the banister.
Yes?
But my hands were bound together.
So your hands bound together, and this is the arm that's the strings wrapped around against the banister?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now how can you get to the phone? And how do you make the phone call? 911?
Mm-hmm.
And do you talk down like that?
Yes, I'm yelling at the phone like this.
And how can you hear?
I turned the volume on max.
Yes? So that's exactly the way that you're talking to her against the railing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good enough. Sit down.
Another thing that they thought was kind of off was the guys who committed the crime left a witness at the scene. Like they left Jennifer alive. So if they killed the parents, why would they leave their daughter alive? So why didn't they include her in the shooting?
So after the crime, his dad was brought to the hospital and was in an induced coma. After a few days, he woke up and confirmed the theories of the police that Jennifer was actually involved in the crime. He said that Jennifer was chatting softly with one of the intruders or one of the armed men as if she was friends with them. And he also saw that when she was being led around the house, her hands weren't tied together. So he also noticed that when his mom was pleading and begging to the intruders to not harm their daughter, one of the intruders said, quote unquote, "Rest assured she is nice and she will not be hurt." So it was like a hint or like a sign that they don't want to hurt her or harm her and they don't want to do anything to her. So this made police look into Jennifer more. So they got a surveillance team to monitor her movements and emotions during the funeral of her mom. And they noticed that she had no emotions, she was unmoved, she didn't even shed a single tear, like nothing. So they just thought that was something to note because we know that we all grieve and react and cope with these things differently, but they just thought it was something worth noting. So Jennifer was called for a third interrogation after the revelation of her dad. So she was interrogated not as a victim or as a witness, but as a suspect. She eventually confessed to actually hiring a hitman, but to not kill her parents. She hired the hitman to kill herself because she wanted to commit suicide, but she didn't want to do it herself. So it was suicide by proxy. So she wanted to die because she was very heartbroken and depressed because her parents forced her to break up with her boyfriend at that time, which was Daniel. And she also felt like she was such a prisoner. She was always on house arrest. Like, she wasn't able to do things that normal kids would do. Her friends said that when she was like 22, she has never experienced being drunk. She never went to a club, she never went to a friend's house, or she never even went to a vacation without her family. So she was always with her parents. But then she canceled the hit last minute because she said that her relationship with her parents improved. So the hitman that she hired wanted a cancellation fee that was worth $10,000?
Sorry, may langaw.
Langaw.
Ay, may lamok.
And she didn't want to pay that, so instead of her being the target, the hitman targeted her parents.
But the police wasn't buying this story, so they looked into her more, and what they did was they called her boyfriend, Daniel. So Daniel was called in by the police to, tell what happened. Pero si Kuya, hindi siya nakipag-usap kay Ate Jenny. Hindi
sila nag-meeting.
Walang alignment meeting, ganun. So, mali yung sinabi. Sabi talaga ni Jenny na
gusto niya patayin yung
parents niya. Pero, ang sabi ni Jenny, siya dapat yung papatayin. Ala na, hindi sa...
Ano na, girl?
Ayun.
Wala.
So, lalong na yung police. So, the police were like, it didn't match. So, it confirmed that Jenny was telling lies. Like, lahat lies.
Liar.
So, why did Jenny want to kill her parents? Like, what led her to do these things? Like, she looked like an angel. Like, look at her face. Where do we put her? Here. Look at her face. But, some people have limits talaga.
I thought she was a kid talaga. So, let's get into her background and let's see what are the possible motives that led her to do that. So, si Jennifer, she was born on June 17, 1989. Tapos, yung parents niya kasi, immigrants and political refugees from Vietnam. They moved to Canada separately in 1979 and they got married in Toronto. They started working in this auto parts manufacturer that was called Magna International. Tapos yung mom niya, her mom was Bic. Siya yung gumagawa ng car parts. Tapos yung dad niya, si Han, siya yung tool and die maker. And may kapatid rin siya, si Felix. Her parents were like the classic tiger parents. Yung super strict, laging overprotective, minomonitor yung ACADS niya, pati yung extracurricular niya dapat magaling siya doon. So, dapat nag-excel siya at everything. Dapat big brain. So, like, nung bata pa lang siya, mga 4, piano lessons siya, tapos, nag-figure skating siya. So, nagte-training siya everyday. Tapos, uuwi siya ng mga 10 p.m. Tapos, mag-aaral siya until midnight. So, parang na-stress siya doon and na-pressure rin siya doon kasi ang dami na niyang ginagawa. Pero, hindi niya pinapakita yun sa parents niya. Parang tinatawag niyang happy mask. And middle school and elementary school, she was really smart. Like, she excelled in all of her subjects. She got straight A's. Lagi siyang perfect, She was really, really smart. But when she was in high school, her grades started to become average. Like, it would be in the 70% range, and she would get mostly B's. For other families, it was okay. It was a respectable grade. Like, B is kinda high. But for her parents, it was not okay. It was a sin. So, instead of being seen as a failure to her parents, she forged her report cards and photocopied her old report cards where she got all A's, and she would fix it up a little bit to make it look recent, and that's what she would show to her parents instead of the report card with the B's. So she didn't really care a lot about it because she knew that college applications don't look at your scores when you were in like grade 9 and grade 10. But when she was in senior high or like senior year, she failed calculus and she didn't get to graduate high school. And she didn't tell her parents, so they thought she graduated high school. How do you lie? How do you lie that you graduated high school?
Hindi ba in-expect ng parents niya, like, kailan yung graduation day?
Yeah.
But hindi ako invited.
Ba't di kami pupunta? Like,
Ba't wala kaming invitation?
so, like, ang weird. So, dahil nga nag-fail siya sa calculus tas hindi siya nakagraduate, ni-revoke yung early application niya to Ryerson University. So, like, dinecline. So, hindi na siya magka-college. And, yun nga, ayaw na makita siya as a failure. So, she lied to her parents and said that she was accepted and she will go to college. So, she made a fake acceptance letter and showed it to her parents. So, she would prepare as if going to school. Like, she would dress up, she would fix her things, put it in her bag, and then she would leave. But she would just stay in a cafe or teach piano. So, like, you get John List vibes, And then she said that she accepted an offer at the pharmacology program in the University of Toronto. So her dad was really excited for her kasi his dad really wanted her to become a doctor. But she was like not into blood. Like, she would get sick just by looking at blood. So her dad was like, oh, it's okay, then don't become a doctor. But she still has to be in the field of medicine. So he said that she should just take up pharmacology. And she went to the extent of buying secondhand textbooks and looking at videos about pharmacology to write down fake notes, and then she would show it to her parents so that they would believe that she was actually going to school. Another 2 years passed and it was time for her graduation. So when her parents asked if they would come, she said na they wouldn't, or like they couldn't come because they were a lot in the class and every student was just given one ticket because they were a lot. She didn't want to like hurt her parents' feelings by just bringing one, so she gave the ticket to her friend. So the parents didn't think much of it, like she's just being nice. And then after that, she said that she volunteered for the hospital for sick children. But the parents got a little suspicious because they didn't find any hospital uniforms or a hospital ID. So they were like, let's follow her to her work. So when they followed her, they found out that she wasn't going to work. She was actually going to Daniel, her boyfriend, and staying with him the whole day. So her parents confronted her and she had no other choice but to spill the tea. They grounded her for 2 weeks. They took her phone and laptop and she was only allowed to use it around her parents. She was like 24 and they still do that. And she was only allowed to go outside when she was going to teach piano. So they would track her mileage to see if she was actually going to the piano lessons. Even though she was like on house arrest, she still maintained or kept their secret relationship. she still kept the secret relationship with Danielle. So her mom actually told her where her phone was hidden so that she could check her messages here and there. But during those times, she would secretly call Danielle and talk with him, flirt with him, and they would like plan when they would sneak out like that. Oh, and I said that her mileage was being tracked, but even though it was tracked, she found ways to go to Daniel and meet up with him.
Because of all the drama that Jennifer's family had, like, Daniel decided to just end it with Jennifer.
I
Like,
don't want you.
Hindi niya na kaya, sis. Talagang
Ayaw na niya.
pagod siya. And then, after, I don't know, weeks or like months, like, mabilis lang, like, fast, meron na siyang bago.
Christine.
Si Christine Lakas.
Si Christine.
Ayun. So, si Christine is the new girl of Daniel. And then, Jennifer heard of this. And she was like,
May bago na siya agad.
the heck? Ang
The
bilis.
hell?
So, what she did was, she made up stories about, for example, she made up a story na there was a policeman who knocked on her door and showed the badge. And then when she opened the door, men came in her house and gang raped her. Just to get Daniel's attention. And she also said that she received a bullet in her mail. So she said it was from Christine, saying that she should leave them alone. See, Christine and Daniel, like, let them be happy.
Like, it's a warning.
Yeah, so these were all to get Daniel's attention. So Daniel
get him back.
could come back and, be
Love
happy
her.
again.
Love her again.
After that, Jennifer talked to an old classmate, Andrew Montemayor. So they talked and discussed some life events, mga catch up, ganyan. And then Andrew brought up that he was boasting that he was involved in some petty crimes like robbery. And then Jennifer told him, like, oh, I'm so tired of my family. I don't like my parents. Like. Basta she told that she had an ugly relationship with her parents. So Andrew was like, oh, me too. I wanna kill my dad, like that. So Jennifer naman, itong babaeng to,
Babaitang to.
naisip niya, like, she thought it was a good idea. Oh, I should do that.
Like,
Yan.
how would life be without him?
So, she asked Andrew, like, can you do that for me? So, Andrew said, oh, I know a friend. I have a roommate who's like a known hitman. So, Andrew connected Jennifer to his roommate, Ricardo Duncan. And Duncan said, oh yeah, I can do that for you. He was a known hitman daw. So, Jennifer gave Duncan $1,500.
It was her savings.
Yeah, from her piano job and nag-restaurant siya, di ba?
Yeah, like she was working at the restaurant.
But, nung binigay niya na yung pera, nabudol si ate.
Oh my God.
Nabudol-budol siya, ayun. Tinakbo yung pera niya. Like, nothing happened.
Like,
No hit was done. They just got the money. So, she realized she was ripped off. And, sorry sis. Syunga ka rin minsan.
press F for her money.
So, after this, Daniel and Jennifer started talking again. Like, ano ba
Ang
yan?
rupok mo, sis. Ang rupok.
Daniel naman, balik ng balik. Ano na? Kala ko may Christine ka na eh. Hindi ka makapili. Pogi mo? Pogi mo? Pakita mo yung picture. Pogi mo? Anyway. Going back. So, Daniel and Jennifer started talking again nga. And then, after a few conversations, they started planning on, parang Jennifer, I think, brought up the idea of killing her parents or her dad. Daniel decided to connect Jennifer to his friend in the drug world, who was also a known hitman. His name was
Lanford Crawford, aka Homeboy.
So let's call him Homeboy
Homeboy.
from now on. Jennifer was connected to Homeboy, and then they started planning what they can do to get rid of the parents. So Homeboy said, oh yeah, I can do that for you, but the price is 20K. But, since you're my friend, I'll give you a friend discount. Ngayon, 10K na lang.
50%. Like, that's a lot.
So, they said, okay, fine, G. 10K, kaya yan. So, they went on with the plan. And then, on November 2, Daniel started saying, oh, I feel so much for Christine. I don't want you. Like, I want Christine. Like, I love her like how you, Jennifer, love me. So, Jennifer was like, what the heck? Are you telling me? Ganon. So, Jennifer said, okay, let's not push through with the plan anymore. And then Daniel said, oh, I thought you were doing this for you.
I thought you wanted this.
Yeah. Jennifer said, yeah, I wanted it, but it's for us. Like,
I don't have nowhere to go after.
Yeah, so their initial plan kasi was to get rid of the parents.
Get an estate.
Get the money, her, whatever is left for her.
$500,000.
And then use that to live together. But since Daniel doesn't want anymore, para sana lang, ganon. So after that weird conversation, they started flirting again. Like, they don't, ano ba, san talaga? Ano ba tayo? Ganon. Like, hindi maka-DTR. Ikot-ikot lang. And then on the same day, homeboy, he asked like, oh, Gina ba? Like, today?
Gina ba today? Like,
kaya ba today? But, Jennifer said, oh, today is a no-go because we have a dinner out, so we won't be home. So after that, on November 8, homeboy asked again, G ba today? Like, kaya ba? Jennifer said, yeah, after work, it's a go. And then, on that day, everything happened.
She's back! She decided to return. Wait, there's hair in my nose.
Again.
So this is how it went. Her dad, Han, was at home reading the Vietnam newspaper and went to bed at 8:30 p.m. Her mom, Bic, was out line dancing with a friend and a cousin, so she would be home a little late. And her brother Felix was not home because he was studying, so it was just the three of them. At 9:30, her mom got home from line dancing and went to the living room to watch TV while washing her feet. At around 10:02, Jennifer went down and said goodnight to her mom and secretly unlocked the front door. She went up, went to her room, and then turned on the lights in her room to signal to the intruders that it's okay to go. It's a go. It's a game time.
So it's on and off, like,
Yeah. Tuk, 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 tuk. So they talked for 3 minutes. They talked on the phone, and at exactly 10:05 p.m., that was when the three armed men, or the three hitmen that Jennifer hired, went in. One of them pointed a gun to Bic, her mom, and the other went upstairs to go to Han, who was sleeping in the bedroom. So that hitman forced Han to get out of bed and go down to the living room. Eric Carty went to Jennifer's bedroom and tied her arms with a black shoelace. He was demanding for money.
I got takot while you were talking. It's okay.
So Jennifer gave him $2,500 as her savings, and they also got $1,100 from her mother's nightstand. And they also went down to the kitchen to find the wallet of her mom to get more money. And then all of that happened, the event, and they left. Just left.
Ang kulit.
They left.
Pahigain mo na kasi. Kawawa naman. Sige, nahiga ka na dito, Miming.
So the police noted that if this was an actual robbery, why didn't they get all of the money? Because there was still money left laying around the house. And another thing was, the car keys for both cars were by the front door. So they should have taken the cars also. So after all of the evidence, the confirmation, the revelation from her dad, she was arrested and her trial started on March 19, 2014. Her trial lasted for nearly 10 months even though it was only supposed to be 6 months, but it lasted longer. So during the 7 days that she was on the witness stand, she would explain her text messages about hiring a hit and say that she did want to have a hitman do the job like around August, but she said that she didn't want it like around November. And then after the trial, she was given the guilty verdict, but when it was given to her, she didn't show any emotion. She had a straight face, but when the press was gone, she was reportedly crying and sobbing. She was shaking uncontrollably because of that. So she was charged with first-degree murder and she was sentenced to life imprisonment with no chance of parole for 25 years. And the judge also gave a ban communication order. The judge gave two. The first one was between all five of the people that committed the crime, so they weren't allowed to talk to each other. And another ban communication order was between Jennifer and her family, so that she wouldn't talk to her family anymore. But Jennifer's lawyer said that Jennifer was willing to talk to her parents or her family if they wanted to. And all of them, including Daniel Wong, was sentenced to life imprisonment with no chance of parole for 25 years.
So after everything that happened, Han suffered a great deal of stuff. Like, he had anxiety, depression, insomnia, everything, like everything a trauma can do to you. So he gave up on everything that gave him joy, like gardening, working on cars, he had
listening to music.
Yeah, so he also had constant pain. So he decided to stay with his relatives so he doesn't have to see the house anymore. He can't stand it. Like, he keeps remembering what happens in that house. So he moved away and he tried selling the house, but no one would buy it. So it's just there. And then the brother of Jennifer, Felix, who was the engineer student, he moved to the East Coast to disassociate himself with the Pan family and like remove the stigma of being part of that family. So he wanted to go away and veer away from that painful experience. In one situation, Han addressed Jennifer and said this, and I quote, I hope my daughter Jennifer thinks about what has happened to her family and can become a good, honest person someday. So sad. So that was the crazy story of the Pan family. It was full of ups and downs and twists and turns and whatever you can see. Basta, gulo, girl.
Nakakaano ng brain.
So I hope you enjoyed what you heard. If you didn't, okay. I don't care.
It's okay.
Charot. I care pala. I'm
She
fragile.
cares.
So if you enjoyed this video, please press the like button there. And don't forget to press subscribe and click the bell button beside it so you get notified if you haven't. But if you have, thank you so much for supporting us.
Yeah.
Thank you for helping us.
We hope to see you again next Thursday.
Bye! Ay, naku naman.